What you have in the display on the left is the time domain response and the white signal for the lower whisker. On the right graph, it's a frequency domain, so you see he's being periodic with his excitation, so you just see more or less one frequency of response. That's the lower whisker. Now he's going to stop and go to wiggling the other whisker. We're calling that the upper whisker. You'll see now the white remains flat and there's a sinusoidal excitation. Time domain on the left, it's very periodic looking, and in the frequency domain there's just one spike corresponding to the frequency of excitation. So now we have the setup in the lab. The lower whisker is in water, upper one is in air. As JJ wiggles the one in water, you get a large white trace in the time domain on the left and frequency domain on the right. He stopped wiggling now, and he's going to start wiggling the in-air whisker. The red trace shows up on the left screen, and now you have a spike with the red trace in the frequency domain. Okay. JJ's now going to start wiggling the bucket so that you can simulate water movement in the bilge. You see the white trace for the whisker that's in water, showing both time domain response and frequency domain spikes. What we would normally do is average the signals in the right pane. You see it's very time dependent. Averaging those will get a nice indication of that the in-air whisker is just basically a flat trace, and the in-water one has intermittent spikes that come and go. All right, so now we've got water filled up to the top of the bucket, and both traces are pretty flat right now. As JJ starts to move the bucket, we start seeing a large response in the red signal now. That's the upper whisker because there's more motion of the water near the surface, but both the red trace and the white trace are showing spikes in the frequency domain, larger spikes in the upper whisker, but both are still showing dynamic responses. All right, we're filling up the bucket with sand now, so the lower whisker is completely buried with sand. And then we'll top off with water so that the upper whisker is in water and the lower whisker is completely buried. We've now got sand burying just the lower whisker. We've got the upper whisker in water, and we're going to start moving the bucket. And the traces on the right, the time domain now shows a large response. And in the red signal, that's the upper whisker, both in the time domain and the frequency domain. And the white signal is just stationary. Nothing's happening to it at all. Just like background noise. Nothing in the frequency domain, and the time domain just looks like background noise.